Right, welcome back to the FNZ Football Show. Monday nights have never been better when the boys get together. So tonight we've got loads to talk about in terms of the football world, and obviously we've got the boys coming in. So we've got two marks tonight, Tux and Becks. Let's join them in with the chat. Boys, how are you doing tonight?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Plenty going on in the world of football. But we're going off script tonight, boys. We're going to use the social media channels to guide our conversation tonight, and there's plenty going on. I mean, what's all this chat about Neil Buchanan being Banksy?
I think that is the yeah. I think it's true. I think it's the transfer news of the summer. If that is confirmed, that is going to be one hell of a piece of news. But yeah, I can't see it past anyone else. It's got to be Neil Buchanan.
No, that's got to be horseshit, really. Have you ever listened to Peter Crouch's podcast? Have you ever listened to that?
I have, but yeah, I think I'm going to say something about it. But yeah, I haven't listened to that bit.
I think like series 2, maybe episode 12, 13. Peter's talking about this story where someone comes to watch him at a game, and he's talking about it, and he says that whilst he was watching Peter at QPR in the early 90s, I think it was, somewhere around that time. Yeah, it would have been early 90s, I think, or around 2000 time. That there was a guy watching him in the box, and he said whilst he was there, someone introduced himself as Banksy to this guy.
Was that Louis Theroux?
Louis Theroux, yeah. Louis Theroux was watching Peter Crouch, and he said that Banksy introduced himself to him. But obviously Banksy was nothing at the time. And then, roll forward 20 years, he's this huge, underground artist that no one knows about. But it's not Neil Buchanan, surely. One of the biggest faces of the 90s there we're talking about.
It's Bob Ross, I reckon.
Who is Bob Ross?
That's the American guy. He's like, we don't make mistakes, we just make happy accidents. He just paints away.
Anyway, boys, what's been going on this week in football? There's been plenty. Chelsea obviously signed Kai Havertz, and they've spent a lot of money, haven't they, over this transfer window? And the question that often come up during this chat on a Monday week is, have Chelsea got the ability to go far this season? Will they be one of those teams that will finish top of the Premier League this season, do you believe?
Well, I think they'll be not top or second. I think that's obviously City and Liverpool, but it's got to be battled third or fourth, really, isn't it? And I think it's got to be, for me, third. United are close to it, I suppose, with their new signing. He looks good business, but Chelsea, I'd expect third or fourth.
Yeah, I mean, Bex, I come to you on this one. The most exciting signing of the two, Donny van der Beek, and Kai Havertz. Who would you choose?
Kai Havertz, probably. He looks more of an attacking threat. I'm not really sure about Donny van der Beek. I look at that Ajax team who've gone, and he's the last. I know he's seen as sort of the poster boy who's been there the longest at Ajax. They got quite a good send off, but it does make you think why he was the last one to go. It always reminds me when Monaco broke their team up, and Bakayoko was the last one to go. Like you do think, why was he left so long? Obviously, De Jong and Delight went the season before, and then did they get rid of Dolberg as well? I think he went as well, but he wasn't as good.
Dolberg went to Nice, didn't he?
Yeah, and then obviously
Ziyech going to Chelsea.
Yeah, and then obviously he's the last one to go. So I might be wrong. He might be fantastic, but I don't really know a lot about him. He seems to be this goal scorer midfielder more than. That's all I've seen him do. I haven't seen a lot of passing or sort of defensive contribution. He just seems to pop up in the area and score goals, really, which is not a bad thing, I suppose.
He looks more to me as like a box to box, kind of like a number 6 sort of player.
Yeah,
and yeah, his passing range is pretty good. And I could sort of see him being obviously a fixture in that United side, and maybe bringing out the best of Pogba. So yeah, we'll see.
Do you think United are spoiled in the midfield department going into this season? Could they have a few, selection dilemmas? You got the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Pogba. I mean, you've probably got to accommodate the the front boys as well, Martial, Rashford, Mason Greenwood, obviously, who we're going to get onto later on in the show. But they've got a lot of choice and a lot of players that could come in and make a difference. I mean, that's without taking into consideration the likes of Matic, Mata, who's still there. I mean, for me, too many players in midfield. It's going to be difficult for them, isn't it, to pick a starting 11?
Yeah, but half of them ain't good enough. Right, I look at Lingard. He cost that bloke a bet on the last day of the season, didn't he? That he wasn't going to get a assist all year or whatever it was. Pereira's never done anything. Matta's good, but he's a bit limited. He's a bit like mobile. Like mobility's not the greatest. He's a good player. Like he reminds me of kind of like probably David Silva-esque. Then maybe they need to, when they get into the end of their career, they need to move elsewhere. Matic is a good, safe pair of hands to have on the bench. Obviously got McTominay in there. I don't really know what that means for him. But I don't think they've got that many options, really. They probably did need someone in there. It's not a bad price for what they paid.
McTominay's signed a new 5-year deal towards the end of the season. You'd probably say he'd be one of the first names on the team sheet. I mean, McTominay was very much one of the first names on the team sheet. Donny van de Beek coming in, that's probably going to force him out of the squad, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the thing with the new signing is that he's a big game player. He showed that for Ajax. And if you've got one of those players in your squad, then it makes it a whole much easier for the team around you. McTominay, he's come on leaps and bounds, obviously, but you kind of need someone in there that's going to match his effort and his levels. So yeah, it might stunt his progress a little bit. But like Becks was saying, some of their options aren't good enough, and they haven't been good enough for years. You think about the success of United teams back in the day. Their midfield picked itself, and you always knew who was going to be in that midfield with Scholes and Keane. Yeah. But now you can pick from a few there. Even Pogba's name isn't always on the first team sheet, so you have to look at it from that perspective. But I think their new signing is going to be a good one. It might stunt the progress of McTominay, as we say, but I think it's a good signing.
He played in defence for Scotland the other night, so I don't know if that's a potential avenue for him. But I mean, I don't know.
We've got the Harry Maguire saga going on at this moment in time. Likely he could slot in at any time to cover at centre back. You're right. But talking about United players, obviously Mason Greenwood, Phil Foden, both fresh up and making their debuts for England at the weekend, have caught themselves in some kind of stupid mix-up. And here you can see an Icelandic woman basically sorting out a meet-up with Phil Foden. I'll just play the video so everyone knows what's going on.
Again, what was you saying?
What's the plan?
What's the plan? Depends what you want. Said depends what you want.
We can come to the hotel, but you're going to sleep us in.
What are you coming to the hotel for? What do you want?
Yeah, what's a picture?
So obviously, two young players. Both, 118, 119, 20. Both Premier League players, both made an impact for their clubs at senior level. But lads, bit stupid really, isn't it? To invite people back to the hotel. You've just made your England debut. You've got to adhere to these rules. And they've just gone against Gareth Southgate completely and thrown themselves in the shit, to be honest, haven't they?
I would like to know who's advising them. That I think these sort of players, they are led by their own actions, but at the same time, they need people that are around them to advise them right from wrong. They are still young at the end of the day. They're teenagers, they're early 20s. They're going to do things wrong, but at the same time, it's at such a high level. It's England, your country that you're going to play for or have played for. So these things need to be knuckled down, and Southgate obviously has done the right thing by coming out and saying something about it, but it's just silly. Phone calls like that, it's obviously going to go on Twitter, it's going to be online, it's going to go everywhere, so why entertain it?
I mean, we can see what Gareth Southgate had to say in his press conference this afternoon.
Yes, so unfortunately this morning it was brought to my attention that two boys have broken the COVID guidelines in terms of our secure bubble. And so we had to decide very quickly that they couldn't have any interaction with the team. The rest of the team wouldn't be able to travel to training. And given the procedures that we have to follow now, they'll have to travel back to England separately.
So they have really stepped in dog shit, haven't they? You notice that he refers to them there as boys, and that's the first thing that jumps out at me. He's just called them boys after making them men. He's given them the opportunity to step up, and to be honest, they're fucked up. I mean, they're obviously going to come back from this. Both players with undoubted talent. You probably would have argued that Phil Foden didn't deserve the call up. Probably had to do a lot more. What more can he do? Go on.
I don't know. I think he was better than Greenwood. Greenwood sort of got hyped up because he scored against. Who did he score against? Aston Villa and Bournemouth or something, but he didn't. Okay, he was good. I'll give him that. He was good coming on the scene, but Foden has made cameos in the last few seasons and then came in the back end of this season and was pretty good and scoring against some big teams. He scored against Arsenal and sort of, contributing in big games, whereas Greenwood was kind of, he did score goals, but I don't know. It was a bit of a weird squad anyway, a bit of a nothing. I don't really believe in this Nations League thing. It's a little bit of a tin pot competition anyway.
I think it's really it's testing players' abilities to step up in these situations. Probably, last week you got Harry Maguire, who's gone on holiday to Greece and got implicated in what seems to be some kind of setup, and then this week you've got these two setting up their own downfall. So, they've got to be better than that, and you'd hope that they'd move on from this in the future. Yeah. I mean, let's have a look at what else is in the timeline, boys. Obviously, we talked about Banksy, haven't we? Let's have a look at Newcastle United FC, not MUFC. Newcastle, obviously, trending. Did any of you see this Danny Rose interview earlier on today?
No.
Just quickly, obviously this comes from the series All or Nothing, with obviously.
Don't spoil it. I'll go watch that later.
Well, I think we should just watch this because this is
after EastEnders. I'm watching that.
Let's just see what Danny Rose has to say to Jose Mourinho about not being in the squad.
Well, you know exactly what I mean. How I'm being treated. I was very excited when we came as manager. But if you don't want me to play, I'd rather you just help me out, and I'll stay at home and I'll train at home.
No, but let me try to be as open as I can with you because I think you deserve that. When I arrived, you played some matches. You were on the bench other matches. I didn't select you other matches, and I think also this is not what a player wants because a player wants to feel the trust, but was not also a gun and you could play anymore. The week before Liverpool, you were fantastic in training. You were fantastic. And that made me decide that probably the most difficult game against the most difficult opponents you played. I think you didn't play well. Then the next game against Middlesbrough, Tanganga played so well and is so strong defensively and doesn't make any kind of mistakes because he's so fast and so powerful. I cannot say, are you going to be a first choice? Are you going to play every match? Depends on.
Okay, I respect what you're saying about I didn't play well against Liverpool, which is true. Well, I play once every 4 weeks. Do you want me to be man of the match and you want me to give my best performance when I play one game and then I don't play again for 3 or 4 weeks? The defense has kept 2 clean sheets. They play every game. It's not fair.
So you want me to play?
No, it's okay. You're the manager, but you're saying to me, I was shit against Liverpool. I respect.
No shit.
Okay, it wasn't my best game. Yeah, you're right, and I respect what you say. But other people have been shit in training, shit in game, but play every game and in the squad every game. It's not fair. It's your perspective. It's not fair. It's facts. But the whole changing room knows it's facts. Not fair. And Daniel, I'm going to see Daniel as well. So when Daniel's in, I think you are on the spot.
So obviously there, Danny Rose is telling Jose Mourinho that, you know, he's had enough of that shit and, you know, he wants to play more often. And obviously on the back of that, he's gone to Newcastle. You know, Danny Rose is a player. Let's quickly just go over this, Tux. Do you think his stock's gone down over recent years? Maybe he should have moved on at the same time as Kyle Walker?
Yeah, potentially. I think he's kind of had a bit of a strange attitude towards it. I know he's had his own sort of personal problems with it, but I think there sort of showcases that it's player power. I don't know if there's enough respect there. You could say that about other players, but him personally, I just think it's, I don't know, it's a strange one. But I think obviously he's got his move away now. He wanted his move away. I remember when he was at Sunderland, he enjoyed the area up there, so I think he enjoys being up north. So it's a good move for him.
Yeah, he's obviously a Yorkshire lad. But, you know, Newcastle obviously didn't take up any option they had to sign Danny Rose. They've gone for, you know, another signing, one up the road from us. Jamal Lewis, Northern Ireland International, pulled out of the Northern Ireland squad this evening to go on to Newcastle and talk about signing for them. Now, obviously, they've had a really busy day. I mean, let's just have a look at their Twitter page today. Let's just scroll down. We've got the sign of Ryan Fraser. Now, Ryan was promising towards the end of last season. Mid to last season before, he was probably grabbing headlines and was likely to join Arsenal, I think it was he was linked to at the time. He's ended up at Newcastle on a free, and I think he's signed a 5-year deal. Now, Becks, what are your thoughts on that, mate?
Well, it's the same with Wilson, which we'll probably go to talk about in a minute. I just don't, out of the Bournemouth players, I don't think they're the best two that he could have picked, to be honest. You know, he's all right. Like, they both had good years. Was it 18-19? They were pretty good, but last season wasn't really blown away from them. Wilson before that has been outperformed by Josh King in nearly every season, I think, in terms of total goal contribution. And then David Brooks is far better player than Ryan Fraser, I'd say. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting strategy but to quote Dodgeball, it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
Well, Tux, what do you think of Newcastle's chances next season, mate? They're buying backdoor players who have been relegated from the Premier League, players that would struggle to get in a good side week in, week out. You'd argue that maybe on their day they could force anyone out of the squad, but these players aren't playing their best football every week. They've been relegated from the Premier League and they've been bought in by Newcastle, who would probably spend normally 40 million on a player who's not going to score you 5 goals a season. I mean, is their transfer policy, you know, up the shitter?
Yeah, I think they've always had quite an indifferent sort of transfer activity going through the club. I think that's obviously down to Mike Ashley, but I think some of the signs they've made just recently, obviously with Wilson, Fraser and Lewis, I don't think they're that bad. Fraser was obviously probably the pick of the bunch. He obviously wanted to go elsewhere. I think I remember Jordan saying something about it, but yeah, he wanted to go to Arsenal. Got to move to Newcastle, which is not a bad club to go to. Callum Wilson, you know, started off like a train, but you know, got injured. You know, he's obviously in the national side now, but does he deserve to be there? I don't know. But yeah, they're not bad signings. I think you look at it, some of their stuff they were doing with Pardew, they were signing like French players from like, you know, the forgotten leagues and all that sort of stuff, and weren't working out. So at least they're sort of, you know, going with tried and sort of tested in a way. So they're not bad. I agree with Becks in saying that they're not as good as like King and Brooks, but yeah, you know, I've given them a chance, see how they do.
They're championship players, though, aren't they? Like,
they are. You're right.
I think it always gets brought up with Ipswich. Like, if you keep signing I think that Bobby Robson said it. They always bring it up. Radio Suffolk love to bring it up. If you sign League One players or players from the league below, if you keep signing them, you're going to end up there eventually. They just need a good mix. But I just don't think Steve Bruce's style of football really helps. Maybe he'll change this year. Now he's got a few more options. But they're playing like 5-4-1 last year. And no wonder Joe Linton didn't score any goals. He's not getting any service.
I mean, they've got some great players there. We'll come on to that in a minute. But let's see what Callum Wilson had to say.
Goals to my name already. I didn't have the greatest season last year. I'd be the first one to admit. I'm quite an honest person. I always analyse myself, and 8 goals in the league is not something I'd like to even associate myself with. So I'll be looking to get to double figures as soon as possible next season, and like I say, many more goals to come. Obviously, I have targets, and as a striker, I think it's important to set yourself goals long term and short term. I'm hoping to achieve those, and like I say, the decision to come here with the players around me, I believe we can get the goals that we need as a team, and obviously I also want to help contribute to goals as well, so I don't just want to be associated with the goal scorer, you want to be able to be a team player, and that's going to be important this season.
Well, we'll leave it there with regards to Callum Wilson, because that's a guy who says, I don't want to be associated with 8 Premier League goals. I mean, you're in a relegated side. There's probably.
Does he shop where Craig David gets his clothes from?
He must do, because they look like
it, don't they?
They're literally lookalikes, aren't they? Callum Wilson, though, has only scored more than 10 goals in 3 seasons in his career. He's 28 years old, coming towards the twilight of his career. You'd argue the period in which a striker comes to fruition, 28 to 31. Is Newcastle going to be the place where he hits the ground running? I saw today Alan Shearer came in and convinced him to sign for Newcastle. Should you be, convincing a player of Callum Wilson's standard to sign for a club of Newcastle's side when he's come from, a 12,000 seat Bournemouth Vitality Stadium? He's going to, the heights of Newcastle. Newcastle probably need to be aiming bigger, but that's where they've gone wrong in previous seasons. Wouldn't you agree, Tuck?
Yeah, I think they have. They should aim sort of bigger, but a lot of it will be down to Mike Ashley. He doesn't want to be there. Fans don't want him there. He doesn't want to put his money in. And I think these are the kind of the players that the best they're going to get, really. And as I say, I think Fraser could have gone to Arsenal, but was being linked with Arsenal at least anyway. So he's been linked with those kind of teams, and he's been Bournemouth, especially last season. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, these are the type of players that Newcastle are going to sign into the future as well. So I wouldn't be, if you're a Newcastle fan, I wouldn't be expecting loads from Mike Ashley, because he's just going to sell up at some point when a buyer comes in, I guess.
Yeah, obviously, we'll go back to the latest on Newcastle. They're looking to sign Jamal Lewis, who is left the Northern Ireland squad tonight. 3 signings, 3 relegated players. They've also brought in 1 goalkeeper as well, who signed from Scotland. Can't remember what club it was, but played most of his career in League Two. Are they buying the players? I don't know. Remains to be seen. Newcastle United, chances of staying up next season, boys? What are you going for?
Slim. I've got them. If I had to predict, I think I've got them just staying up because Steve Bruce he'll play defensive if he has to. But they'll be lucky because I don't think West Brom are particularly great, even though they've signed their 2 best players from last year on permanent deals in Dean Garner and Pereira. Villa are always a little bit hit and miss. Now that they've missed out on Wilson, they might get Ollie Watkins, but even so, again, not too sure about them. And then Fulham a bit, not really convinced by Fulham either. So it'll be between them 4, but I think they'll be in a fight for most of the season.
Yeah. Right then, boys, let's have a quick break and have a look at this.
Listen up, lads. Are you madly searching for the next best podcast? Join Ash, Armchair, Tux and Becks for the FNZ 90+3 podcast as they speak to former professionals about their careers in football. Available to watch on YouTube or listen to on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Join the lads every Sunday from 8 p.m.
Fancy yourself as a bit of a Premier League guru? Why don't you put your managerial skills to the test and join our FNZ Fantasy Premier League ahead of the new season? Download the Fantasy Premier League app and use the code on screen. Good luck, you're going to need it.
Right, boys, I'm trying to scout for some news. Did you see what happened with Novak Djokovic over the weekend? It's been defaulted from the US Open for hitting the official. I'm just trying to find the video.
That's a good shot.
She milks it. That one's obviously got no sound.
She'd fit in La Liga, wouldn't she? Well,
oh my God, she went down like a tree. Straight over. But without being too one-sided, let me just search this Djokovic. How do you spell Djokovic? That's the one.
I literally just
There's me thinking we were talking about football news. I thought it was just like a football-based fucking channel, but evidently it's sport and bloody Neil Buchanan.
It's topical. Topical news.
It is. It's funny. It's so funny.
If you hit it a little higher, it would have gone right into the camera person.
So obviously he's looking the entire time. It's like he's meant to do it on purpose.
Hits her, I believe it hit her in the throat. Yes, it did.
Oh, there's a better one where you actually hear her go like, ooh!
Oh, come on, show us kids.
That one.
No, it's not that one. Well, I had it earlier. They might have taken it down, but in terms of
oh look, we're there.
In terms of the stories, is there any other big stories that are jumping out at the moment? We talked about Kai earlier, with Kai Havertz joining Chelsea. What else have we got to talk about tonight?
Well, football's back this weekend, isn't it? That's the big news. Obviously, it was Carabao Cup last weekend, but yeah, football is back. It's first weekend, isn't it? This weekend.
I had my first experience of watching my team on iFollow this week, and
as did I. Yeah,
thoroughly enjoyed it. The only problem is you can't share on multiple devices, can you? So
no.
You don't have that ability to share it to the screen so everyone can watch. Good little money-making device. But, miss the atmosphere. I don't know about you boys. I mean, Tux, how are you holding up, mate?
Yeah, well, obviously doing the coverage of the non-league for various sort of outlets. I was back in a ground on Saturday, back in a ground tomorrow night as well. So it's non-league football and football is football. So it was just nice to be back in stadiums, and normally they're not packed stadiums, but on Saturday there were families, sort of friends and all that kind of things just gathered to watch the football. I think a lot of them were, co-United fans that obviously weren't watching their team. So it's good for non-league to start off with, I guess, in their opening games to get more fans through the gates, which also generates more revenue for them.
So people go to non-league, do you think, than they would have before?
Yeah, potentially. It's one of these things. Unless you have an affiliation with a non-league side, whether your son plays, your brother, or your friend plays, you might go and watch them. But there were more people there just to watch the football, which was quite nice at the weekend. And it might be the same tomorrow night as well if people finish work on time. But yeah, it seems to be a bit busier when the football league isn't playing. When it's the international break and all that kind of thing, really. Yeah, it's not just for the game that I'm covering. I'm covering Stanway Rovers at the moment, but other games up and down the country. It's good for them to be back in the stadiums as well, and fans obviously to get involved as well.
Yeah, if you're watching tonight, make sure you give us a comment, give us a shout, give us a follow, give us a share, and spread the word. But boys, I want to look into Everton a bit more closely tonight. I know we touched them last week. They're bought some really key signings. They're really bolstered the midfield this week. Let's start with, the Brazilian that's come in. Alan has come in, he joined them from Napoli, I think it was.
I got Alan Brazil.
Alan from Brazil.
Alan from Brazil.
They've increased their Brazilian contingent. Obviously, they've got Bernard there and Alan slap bang in the middle. What's that guy's name there again? Richarlison, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
like that. Their kit's quite nice this year.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. I think they've
I like the Hummel kits are quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they should. A lot more teams should invest in the Hummel side of things. But what do you know? I think James Rodriguez was also incoming as well, wasn't he? Is it a done deal?
I don't think it's done quite yet, but I know they're very keen to get it done. But I'll probably get some more hate for it. But it's like I said, if Alan was that good, would he be going to Everton? Let's be honest. He's been around for a while. He didn't play as much as he has been. Like last season, he didn't feature as much as he had been under previous managers. If he was that good, surely he'd be going to a Champions League level club, not dropping down.
Yeah, I completely agree.
We said a few weeks ago. It might have been last week actually, that Everton are the sort of side where, if you're not good enough as a player to play Champions League or sort of top four, you go to a club like Everton.
Yeah.
So Rodriguez is a classic signing, or would be a classic signing for them. In terms of, he's obviously been there, got the T-shirt, he's been at Bayern, he's been at Real Madrid, not really done it. He's living off a World Cup from previous years. So it's,
I'll give Everton credit, like to save face, not to slag them off all the time. They've got some players in there that you go, yeah, they would, if they went to a bigger side, they could play and do all right, and they'd feature. Andre Gomez stands out. Didn't quite hit the highs at Barcelona, but he could probably. You'd look at any club in the Premier League. He wouldn't start for Liverpool, Man City, probably not even Chelsea, but he'd get in there. If he was to come on off the bench, you wouldn't be too unhappy, to be honest. But other than that, you look at Walcott, Iwobi, you just think, I don't really see what their vision is. It's a little bit muddled, but we'll see. I need to look for some recipes for humble pie for many things. So we'll have to see, but they might prove me wrong. So we'll have to wait and see.
I mean, we talk about Everton. I don't think either of those players are going to push them into European Champions League spots, to be honest. And they've still got to get over teams like this, Wolves, bringing in young, hungry players from overseas. And Fabio Silva was one. The club record fee for a striker who's only played a handful of games for Porto. I'm not going to question their ability in the transfer market. Would you agree with that statement, Mark? Tux?
I wouldn't be. Well, I mean, in terms of the main man that does it is George Mendes. I think they've got quite a good relationship with him. The super agent. So the kind of players that they're bringing in is probably down to him. And obviously Wolves have had such a turn in fate, really, where obviously a couple of years ago they were a championship club. But yeah, they're a good side, and I expect them to be sort of back where they were this season, sort of 7th, 8th type thing. And yeah, hopefully can sort of push on from there. But obviously a really good manager that they've got as well. I expect him to maybe go on to bigger and better things at some point. But yeah, good side.
Yeah, I mean, how fitting that art attacks on the side there. It looks like somebody's attacked towards the away shirt there. Done it, Becks.
Oh, that's horrendous. I thought I still think the Ipswich one is worse, the Ipswich away kit. But yeah, I don't know what Adios let themselves down this year. Not a big fan. Who else released their kit today? Fulham released their kit today.
Real bad, wasn't it?
It's bad. Like the most generic. I know they're all templates. I'm not gonna hide behind that, but it's so generic. Like it's awful. I think you only see a little bit in that away kit's right, but
they've not even had someone feature in the kit to show us what it looks like. It's just terrible.
Maybe that's their goal for this season.
The away kit, but look at that.
What's that badge?
Fulham Football Club, Craven Cottage, London. That's like a special badge on the back. But that reminds me of the kit they had back in the early 2000s. Nothing too special.
You'll never beat Edwin van der Sar, Steed Malbronk, Lewis Saha in the Pizza Hut kit. Oh,
yeah.
what a
who
kit
else
that is.
That was quite a good team, iconic team as well.
Sylvan Legwinski.
Yeah, Steve Marley as well. Steve Marley was a good player.
Yeah,
actually.
what a kit that was.
Well,
I've never reached the highs. Danny Graham.
Let's talk about another team that's fallen from grace. Danny Graham has signed for Sunderland on a 1-year deal.
He's gone a bit green there. He's turned to the Hulk, is he?
Yeah, let's have a look at what he's got to say.
To be brutally honest, it didn't work out. It was a tough time for myself in my football career. I don't know why it didn't work out, whatever reason, but for me.
Just stop in there. I reckon it's to do with the haircut, don't you, boys?
Possibly, yeah.
Well, I've noticed that a lot. A lot of footballers have I don't know why. The hairdressers are open, but they're just I'm just rolling with lockdown hair. Still.
They're going for the Beckham Spain arrival kind of haircut, aren't they? It's I can grow long hair. I'm sophisticated.
They're looking like the 6-year-old girl who's gone on holiday to Tenerife.
Got the Alice band in.
Yeah.
Got the Alice band in to keep it under control. Yeah.
Been there, haven't we?
I think so. I think that was a big part of it. Hopefully, to come back and get this football club out of this league is the main priority. I feel as though I can help. A lot of people will probably say, he's 35, he's this, he's that. That's fine. They can talk. I'm here, and I'm looking to do well and score the goals at Favourite Buckle.
I don't know what everyone else who's watching this tonight thinks, but Sunderland, we've all watched the documentary. What do we think of Sunderland's chances of getting promotion from League One this season? League One, fiercely competitive this year. Obviously, you've got the likes of our very own Ipswich Town and there, Peterborough, who've made some good signings. Oxford's always competitive in that league. Do we really think Sunderland are going to get promotion this season from League One?
They've got to get out, to be honest.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, they've been there and in that division for quite a while now, and they're such a big club, and I've been to see them 2 or 3 times, and the fans there are really good. The community aspect of it all as well. It's just unreal.
Ivan Campo. Ivan.
Yeah, but yeah, so the community of it all is just unreal, and it's sad for them because football is such a massive part of their lives up there. But yeah, I'd like to see them do something. Obviously, not instead of us, but yeah, we'll have to see. But yeah,
all depends on Will Grigg for me, because apparently he's moved up there, because he was commuting, and he's apparently sort of a new lease of life. He's going to try and restart the fire to get Will Grigg back on fire, but whether he will, I don't know. Chris Maguire's always good.
Isn't it? It's just a prologue. It's just continuous. Will Grigg seems to be this guy that's got, the song was sung before he even done anything. The guy's just never delivered on the stage. He's never done anything. I mean, you'd probably say Wigan was.
He's good in league. He was good in League One, for a couple of teams.
For half a season, mate. Come on, Jesus.
No, he was good. He was good. I remember him scoring against Man United in the Carling Cup. It was good. Yeah, it was good for about 2 or 3 years, and then he went up to the Championship and was crap, and came back down again and did really well again, and then went up again and was crap, and came back down and was crap.
I agree with what you're saying, Bex, in terms of he wasn't settled at Sunderland because I think Bradford came in for him at one point. So they obviously still want to keep him, and obviously they pay good money for him, but they still want to keep him, and if they can, get him back firing. I think he scored some goals in pre-season, so that can always do the world of good for a player. So yeah, we'll just have to see. But he's still, I think he's still at a fairly decent age. So he's not past it or anything. I think he could still do something. But yeah, they're a massive club in the wrong league, really. But yeah, hopefully they can come back.
I just want to pick up on this Chelsea. It's a Chelsea thing hashtag. Obviously, Nike released like Air Max kind of kit release for all the big clubs today, and Chelsea got, I think, probably the worst end of the deal when we look at the kits. I mean, this one in particular,
it's horrendous.
It's not very good, and obviously Crystal Palace have had their say about it looking like their kit. I mean, obviously, red is predominantly not Crystal Palace colour; it's blue, but you can see the similarities. I think Palace actually came out and tweeted about it. It was quite funny. Let's just find it. People. Oh God! You know when you type something in and you don't get what you want straight away.
First world problem.
Tough world, mate. It's a tough world.
They exist, mate.
I'm not going to get it out. Anyway, they weren't too happy. But, what's this thing with third kits in the Premier League? Is it really needed?
Money. Fucking money, isn't it?
Yeah.
Barcelona released theirs today as well, isn't it? Pink or something.
Oh, yeah. So that was part of the Air Max release.
Yeah.
It is a lot to do with money, obviously, but I think some of it is that I don't understand that if you bring out a home kit, some of these away kits are very much the same as the home kits, and you're like, well, how's that an away kit then? It's just a different design, but not a different colour. But yeah,
what was that last one?
Big smiles from the sheriff after a hard day training at Blackpool FC. Let's have a look at a tweet from EFL clubs. This is always handy. Free promotions. Oh my God, did not know that.
Who's it?
Chris Brunt has joined Bristol City.
Oh, really?
Let's talk about that. Great player, great experience.
He's really good at crossbar challenge on Soccer AM.
Huh?
He's always really good on crossbar challenge at Soccer AM. That's all I remember about Chris.
I mean, he's always been, Northern Irish international, cultured left foot, bring a ton of experience to Bristol City. Do we really think that Bristol City have got enough to challenge for promotion this season? Do you think that's a realistic target for them?
No, I think they've lost sort of key players. I think too many key players over the last few seasons. They've sort of built teams and then not really done it themselves, and then they've sort of lost those players to bigger and better teams. And I think they've signed a few good players this season, but yeah, they're just one of them sort of teams that can't really, just break into, whether they break into players that just can't do anything more than that, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame. But
always relied neutrally on loan players to get along.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that. Nottingham Forest, what are they up to? Nothing much by the looks of it. Wigan, obviously a team that are being kept run by their supporters club at the moment. I think it was something like, did you see the costs come out today to keep Wigan running? I think it was nearly 800,000 in agent fees just to keep the club running.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And seeing as fans have raised nearly 600k to keep their club going at the moment, it's an absolute joke. In terms of kits, though,
what I don't understand is that with Wigan, they had Dave Whelan, who was obviously a fairly good chairman. He got them up to the Premier League. With was it Paul George start off with, and then Martinez. But I just don't understand what happened there. Like, I think did he give it to his grandson after he retired or something? Was that right?
Yeah.
And then it went,
I think did he still own the club? But I think he just stepped down as chairman, and then he sold the club to these giant, whatever they were, I don't know, Asian sort of casino owners, and they've fucked it for everyone, really.
Yeah, they've run it into the ground, and essentially they've gotten themselves into the shit. Don't know how they're going to get out of that. I don't want to really comment on what's going on at Wigan because I can't really tell you the ins and outs because it's all over the place, just as it always is.
I'll give big respect to that fan who brought their goalkeepers. I think it was their League One promotion winners medal, and he just gave it straight back to him because he just wanted to give them the money. Respect to him.
Really good act. I kind of saw that. That was really good. I mean, there's not really much going on today, is there? In terms, it's got a lot of international action. England playing tomorrow night, are they?
Not sure. Who have they got tomorrow? Denmark, isn't it?
Yeah, Denmark. Yeah.
see what England are doing tomorrow.
Need to start Danny Ings, don't you, Gareth? Didn't start him.
What are your thoughts about? Obviously, here's one. Here's an interesting one. Look, we've arrived on a good little question for tonight. Anyone that's watching tonight, we've got 3 choices as England keeper, 3 equally good goalkeepers, but 2 that are in form and 1 that was previously in form. You've got the likes of Nick Pope, who's kept the most clean sheets in the Premier League last season by 1, I think it was, just to eclipse Dean Henderson. It might be the other way around. Them 2 keepers deserved of an England start, I would say. Jordan Pickford, would he be your number 1 anymore, boys?
Nick
probably not.
Pope for me.
I'd probably agree with Becks in terms of Pope. He's been fairly consistent for the last couple of years, and the thing with Pickford is, I think he only gets in that side now, or if he gets picked, is because of how he does with his feet more than anything else. But I know like managers like to play the modern way of goalkeepers being effectively like a sweeper, really. But first and foremost, you're a goalkeeper. You're meant to keep the goals out of the net, and that's something he doesn't really do for Everton on a consistent basis, I wouldn't say. But yeah, Henderson's obviously been good as well. He's obviously fighting with De Gea for next season, and Man United's number 1. And I think that's the best decision. I didn't want him to go out on loan again. It's for him is to just challenge now to be that number 1. So we'll see. But yeah, I'll probably agree with Becks and say Pope.
Yeah, obviously there's that dilemma in midfield as well. Now Foden's gone, got rid of him. It's the guy that everyone loves to hate, the one that gets a mention every week on the show. Undoubted talent, best midfielder in the Premier League in terms of English talent last season. Jack Grealish, is he going to get a start for England?
Probably
I just
not.
want to say one thing on Jack Grealish. I just want to say one thing on him. If this was Jack Grealish with these girls and he got sent home, we would not hear the end of it. And I don't like Jack Grealish. I can't stand him. But if this was him, he wouldn't, that would be Southgate thinking, oh, well, that's why I didn't pick him, that kind of thing. So it's interesting to see that, the dynamics out of it. But yeah, I think
Jack
he's got to get his start out.
Aston Villa, if he was to do that, which he's done stupid things in the past, loads of stupid things. We're talking more than the normal player. Yeah. He's been outed before. I think he's used to it. But in terms of breaking the lockdown rules, it's not on really, is it, from those 2 youngsters? And they'll get their hands slapped and they'll be omitted from the squad next time round, I imagine, just to get their own back. But midfield, it's we've got options. You've got Michael Keane there, Tyrone Mings. You probably say coming in, but obviously the one that's hiding behind there, Leeds United's own. Can't remember his name now. Do you know?
Calvin Phillips.
I'm just winding my dad up. I know he's watching this. Calvin Phillips. Do you reckon we'll see him in an England shirt tomorrow? Do you reckon he'll make his bow?
I think these players these are the type of games that they need a chance in. It's like Danny Ings just there. He needs his chance. We know what Harry Kane can do. He's obviously going to be our number 1 striker. So just give these players a go, even if it's Wilson or Ings or whoever. Stick them up front, see what they can do. Simple as that.
Are we spoilt for choice, though, boys? We've got our best side. We've got the Sterling, Rashford, Kane. Midfield. Midfield is probably the only place we could afford to sit back and say, look, we've got a lot of options. Probably go back to the drawing board on that and find out who we can play. But we are spoiled for choice. I mean, look at Danny Ings, 21 goals, wasn't it, this season he scored?
Beautiful man. What a man.
I mean, Tammy Abraham as well is obviously included. Good start to the season, but he mellowed out, didn't he?
Yeah, got the ultimate shithouse as well, haven't you? James Ward-Prowse with his penalty antics. You need players with that winning mentality. Do anything it takes to win. Loved it. What a man.
I want to talk now anyway, and something a bit light-hearted banter. Chunk last night. Did you?
I don't even know who he is.
So you never heard of Chunks and Philly?
No,
I've not either. No.
Well, they've got their own YouTube channel and everything. They're quite funny, but they basically do like videos, like sports related and music related. Chunks is an artist, I believe, as well. But he did post something really funny. earlier. Let me see if I can find it. That was about, here we go, look. Missed the pen, but I bagged my Ajama. So who won really? But yeah, it was quite funny last night. But I didn't watch the game. I just see the highlights after. But
there's a lot being made about Jeremy Lynch, isn't there, from the FT Freestylers?
Yeah,
he got taken out by Gareth Barry, but I think there's been something going on. I don't know, something for the kids. I don't know, something going on this week.
Some kind of YouTube war going on at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, I think it's Stephen Tries, quite a funny bloke, but then they're all involved. But let's have a look at Chunks' highlights from the soccer game last night.
I'm trying to be what I'm destined to be. And niggas trying to take my life away. I put a hole in a nigga for fucking with me. My back on the wall, now you gon' see. Better watch how you talk when you talk about me. Cause I'll come and take your life away.
Touch of an absolute rapist. How many times that guy needs the ball? Jesus. But, you know, inspirational. I think it's a good weight loss thing as well, because he's lost a lot of weight recently. And a lot of the youngsters that have been, you know, keeping up, or whoever follows his social media, will see that he's gone through that kind of experience. And that will benefit a lot of people to see that, I imagine. Yeah, look, boys, we've got a question. Look. Are you going to go back down to Portman Road making videos again when all is well? Missed your match day vlogs, very quality.
That's for you to answer.
No, I don't think we are, boys. I think that ship sailed. I think we're just going to continue enjoying our chats.
There's some new boys on the block, aren't they? They're trying to.
You know, we've got Mark's podcast.
I wasn't even talking about me. I wasn't even talking about me. I was having a go at the people who joke about cornflakes, but that's just me.
Look, tell us about your podcast, buddy.
Yeah, so if you miss Ipswich Fan Zone, maybe I can help fill a hole that you're missing. Every Sunday, 6 p.m, new podcast out. Haven't set a defined length. I just put the mic on and talk about anything that's going on, and yeah, just let the camera roll really, and just see how it goes. You know, there's always a lot to talk about of Ipswich Town. So, yeah, if you missed Ipswich Fan Zone, ITFC Unrestricted, where all the good podcasts are, we make up the numbers there. So, yeah, check that out as well if you want.
Yeah, and how are you finding it so far? You know, it's obviously a different world from you. You've probably taken a step into my world a bit and seen what it's like. Do you appreciate what goes into it?
I've got a big picture of you up in my bedroom wall. I keep saying I'm doing it for you, Ashley. I'm doing it for you. But no, it's interesting. It's weird talking to yourself, I find. But yeah, it's going all right. Reviews are fairly good. I've had a couple of good reviews. I don't think I've had any bad reviews. Just a couple of people. Well, I don't know. Best left that. I won't talk about that. But yeah, no, it's been interesting. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. We'll see how it goes. It depends how the football season goes. Because if it's a nightmare, I probably will feel like you did a little bit at times, just getting a little bit sick of being so negative. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. That's the main thing, enjoyment.
Decent. Well, you know, you can sack in at any point, mate. You know, let the other ones have a go. Tux, how are you enjoying the FNZ channel so far? I know you've been heavily involved with the recruitment side and helping set up a lot. New experience for you. How you find it?
Yeah, it's been good. Obviously with the 90+3 series that we've done so far and continue to do, it's been really good. It's been nice. It's been nice to obviously talk to the professionals as well. So obviously, with our live show as well, talking about all the latest topics. It's been great to be involved, really.
Yeah, obviously the 90+3 podcast is flying at the moment. I'm just waiting to collect all the stats at the end of this week. But Series 1, we've obviously finished recording now. Sets us up nicely for Series 2. Got any, hidden talents up your sleeves, mate?
I wouldn't like to say now. I wouldn't like to say now, just in case anyone else is watching and they make their own podcast and whatever else they might nick our ideas. So we'll keep it firmly under wraps for the moment. But I think we've got some good ideas between us that we're going to bring out for Series 2. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we can get a few good names. I think we should do a live show, live 90+3 pod. That'll be interesting because obviously everyone sees us after we put these videos together, but they don't see how it unfolds. And to be honest, we have a lot of laughs with these players that we don't really air because sometimes it's probably not not appropriate. Mike's got a serious question though before we leave tonight. Serious question for once. When football does get back to some normality, fans are allowed back in grounds, will you guys be visiting the grounds to do games? Yes, Mike, we will. We are planning to go to football matches. When that will happen, we'll probably look at it and review it a bit more, probably come up with better ideas of how we're going to cover matches and how we're going to interact with people. But until then, we won't really know what we're doing. We've not really got a plan because obviously season ticket holders are going to come first in this scenario. If you've already paid for a ticket to get in, then it's highly unlikely they're going to let the passing trade come through easily. So we're going to have to look at that as and when it comes up. In terms of the FNZ Monday night show tonight, I think we're all done, boys. I think we've done well there. I like the format tonight. I think we went more into what's being talked about right now instead of what's been talked about 6 days ago. Do you know what I mean? So I think we'll carry that into next week. Do a lot more. But thanks to everyone that's watched tonight. Make sure you give us a like and a follow, and obviously share where possible. But make sure you look after yourselves and see you next week.
Bye.